Well, good day, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I had a little bit of a mix up, but hey, I'm Franky and this is the Think Tank. So, how is everybody doing this afternoon? So, yeah, a little bit of a hiccup there. I appreciate all of you guys. So, he is back in Idaho. So, I thought we would take a look at that. So, judge issued a gag order on this as well, which is interesting. Let's see here. All right. Exactly, Mexi. Okay, let's take a look at this. I don't know. Do you guys think that he is setting himself up for anything? Do you think he's got any of this stuff planned? I think the little shit's got everything planned right down to this. I think he was prepared for this just in case it came. Here we go. So, Idaho slaying suspect is no longer, oh my word, in custody. He has been turned over to Pennsylvania State Police, the warden says. He is accused of unaliving those 4 kids. Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of fatally unaliving 4 students in the Idaho students' home. And now this was an off-campus home. So it says he was removed from a county jail in Pennsylvania and turned over to the state police on Wednesday. He is no longer in the custody of Monroe County Correctional Facility. He's in the custody of the Pennsylvania State Police. This comes from Warden Gary Hadel. And he says he is out of my custody. It wasn't immediately clear when he was going to be on a plane for Idaho. So is that right? Did they put him on a plane? We were kind of talking about this behind the scenes. Okay, so less than 24 hours earlier, the 28-year-old Kohberger waived extradition in a Stroudsburg courtroom, paving the way for his trip to the Latah County, Idaho. To Latah County, Idaho. That's where prosecuting attorney Bill Thompson said Kohberger will be charged with those 4 counts of first-degree unaliving and burglary. He is accused of breaking into the Moscow home with the intent to commit a felony. He was arrested on Friday in Albrightsville in northern Pennsylvania, which is about 2,500 miles from Moscow. He's been charged with the slayings of Ethan Chapman, 20, Madison Mogan, 21 of Coeur d'Alene, Xana Kernodle, 20 of Avondale, Arizona, and Kaylee Goncalves of, oh my word, I'm sorry guys, of Ratham, Idaho. It says that he was a doctoral student in the criminal justice and criminology department at Washington State University, 9 miles from Moscow. And it says he is no longer a student. All right. I'm East Coast, so I was a little early, but all good. Oh, my word. And yeah, what a day. This is just kind of the way the day's been. So what do you guys think about that? He sounds like he did go on a plane for his extradition. We were not sure if they would be driving him or a plane. We just weren't sure which would be the, safest route for them. Very good question. Can you still work on a PhD while sitting in prison? You know what? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to mute this for a second. Sorry, guys. So that's a really good question, because I was hearing yesterday on one of the stations where someone was saying, you can get a college degree online through the criminal courts, or sorry, not the courts, but through the jail housing, I guess. So as far as a PD or a PhD, I don't know for sure. Be interesting to find out, though. So there's also a new defense attorney. So this is that. Before we get into that, let's just take. Oh, it won't freeze, but take a look at the face on this guy. Let's watch that a little bit closer again. Look at the look on him. Wow. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Let me get rid of this here. Okay. So what do you guys think about all of this? Do you think he's going faster than expected, or do you think he's going at the pace that this should be going? Because, it seems to be rolling along now that they've got him, and I think that's awesome. The faster they can get rid of this guy, the better off everybody will be. So the judge did order a gag order blocking officials and defense from discussing this case against Bryan Kohberger. That's his expression once again. An Idaho judge issued a gag order on Tuesday, even blocking investigators and attorneys on both sides from discussing the murder case against Bryan Christopher Kohberger, the Pennsylvania man who's accused of unaliving 4 college students in November. On January 3rd, 2023, Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall. Let me see here. Oh, nice. And back at it. On January 3rd, 2023, Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall issued a non-dissemination order in regards to the unaliving case against Bryan C. Kohberger, Moscow policemen said in a statement. This order prohibits any communication by investigators, law enforcement personnel, attorneys, and agents of the proceeding attorney or defense attorney concerning this case. The department, which has been tight-lipped about the case for the past 7 weeks, said it would no longer be communicating with the public or the media regarding this high-profile unaliving mystery. So it sounds like we will be hearing nothing except what kind of slips out. So this is the order here. So in the District Court of the 2nd Judicial District of the state of Idaho, in and for the county of Ladom. So it gives the case number here, which is CR29-22-2805. And it's the state of Idaho against Bryan C. Kohberger. The court, by stipulation of the parties, enters its order as followed. It is hereby ordered that the parties to the above titled action, including investigators, law enforcement personnel, attorneys, and agents for the prosecuting attorney or a defense attorney, are prohibited from making extrajudicial statements, written or oral, concerning the case, other than a quotation for or reference to, without comment, the public records of this case. This order specifically prohibits any statement which is a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication, and this relates to the following: evidence regarding the occurrence or transaction involved in the case, the character, credibility, or criminal record of the party, the performance or result of any examinations or tests, or refusal or failure of the party to submit to such tests or examinations. So it says non-dissemination order 1. So number 4, any opinion as to the merits of the case or the claims of the defense party. Any other matter reasonably likely to interfere with a fair trial of the case, such as and not limited to the existence of contents and any confession, admission, or statements given by the defendant, the possibility of a plea of guilt to the charge, offense, or a lesser offense, or any opinion. The possibility of a plea of guilt to the, I'm sorry, I got like dogs on either side. They're on Mom. So let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. The existence or content of any confession, admission, or statement given by the defendant, the possibility of a plea of guilt to the charged offense or a lesser offense, or any opinion as to the defendant's guilt or innocence. It is further ordered that no person covered by this order shall avoid its prescriptions by actions and indirectly, but deliberately cause a violation of this order. It is further ordered that this order and all provisions therefore shall remain in full force and throughout these proceedings until such time as a verdict has been returned unless modified by this court. And then signed by the judge, Megan Marshall. Wow, hey? Holy. I'm just going to see what we've got going on here. Yeah, I know, right? Are we giving this guy so much credit? I'm not quite sure as to a lot of the things that they are deciding to do, but let's hope it is honestly in the best, what's best for this case. If he's so smart, it doesn't seem like he gave technology much thought, DNA, video cameras. I agree with you 100%, Sligan. There are a few things that happened here that are very, as far as I'm concerned, rookie moves. All right, let's see what else we've got here. So I thought this was interesting, something we could go through. So, how police surveillance helped catch Idaho murder suspects Bryan Kohberger. So, police reportedly surveilled the man accused of the November unalivings of 4 University of Idaho students as he traveled across the country and in Pennsylvania before swooping in to make an after-dark arrest. So we know that he's a 28-year-old PhD student, and teaching assistant at the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at Washington State University, and he was arrested at his parents' home in Albright, Pennsylvania. So they are calling that, it says that they used force. So I am not too sure what that means. I don't know if that means they had to like break down a door or if he resisted at all. So authorities in Idaho have said they also believe that he broke into the victim's rental home in Moscow, intending to commit the unaliving. Oh my goodness, animal. So I find that very interesting. There's a picture. Actually, I think maybe I will put it up right now. So we were talking about this the other day. See if I can find it here. This window here. So does that look broken to you guys? What do you think? Is this a broken window? At first I just thought it was what they were hanging up to kind of get the room at the right lighting. But now I'm starting to think that window is literally broken. So that looks like it might be on the top floor. Can't say for sure, but I think that's kind of, yeah, where's that even at? So by the looks, I'm almost thinking that that is Maddie's room, but I can't say for sure. So let's go back here. Okay, police honed in on Kohberger as a suspect in the slayings through DNA by using public genealogy databases, and this is being reported by ABC News. According to the outlet, police said that FBI tracked Kohberger to Pennsylvania through his vehicle, a white Hyundai Elantra, the same model that Moscow police said had been seen at the home around the time of these unalivings. And then we know that he drove with his dad about 2,500 miles across country in mid-December to spend the holidays with his family. But it does look like he was planning on heading back. At a news conference on Tuesday, Pennsylvania State Police Major Christopher Paris said troopers with the agency's Bureau of Criminal Investigation were called by the FBI to assist with surveillance on Kohberger's before his arrest. Paris said investigators from Pennsylvania's State Police Troop N that they began to collaborate with the Idaho police. It was through this collaboration and charges pending in Idaho that those troopers were able to obtain search warrants and a fugitive from justice warrant that was prepared here in Monroe County, Paris said. He said state police then began to carry out his arrest. The agency's special emergency response team took the lead. So it says tactical assets were then staged in Monroe County into the evening of Thursday, December 29th, and in the early hours of Friday, December 30th. Those warrants were executed on the location, Paris said. Kohberger's warrant merited an after-dark arrest, Paris said, which requires a higher standard of probable cause. So this is the thing. We do have to realize, I guess, or understand, I guess, that a lot of this stuff we did not know was even coming. So with the probable cause, they really do have to stand at a higher level than what a person would actually think. They can't just automatically go arrest somebody. This has got to be they've got to have some pretty good evidence before they're going to go out and do any of this stuff. So it does say that surveillance was conducted and we wanted to go in at a time when we thought it would be safest for everybody, safest for anybody else in the house, safest for Mr. Kohberger, and safest for his people. The tactical response team reviewed the floor plans of the home and broke multiple doors and windows that they entered. His arrest was without incident, so that puts that out, and the scene was turned over to the FBI. Andrew McCabe, a former FBI acting director, said Saturday that Kohberger was on the radar of investigators before he left for Pennsylvania. So it does make you think about those traffic stops a little bit, doesn't it? Knowing that they were watching him at that point. So I guess my question would be, do you think that these stops were planned to possibly get different information on him, whether it be the way his mental state was, right down to, is there anything in the car that they could see right away that they thought was reason to search that car? I'm not too sure. I am kind of leaning towards maybe they set those stops up. I don't know. So it says the surveillance effort would have crossed multiple FBI field divisions and would involve multiple surveillance teams who were following him in certain areas and then handing him off to new teams, just like on TV. Kohberger's family home was probably under surveillance before he arrived in mid-December. Former FBI agent Tracy Walter said on Banfield. I'm certain that the FBI resident agency that is closest to the hometown in Pennsylvania was probably notified and did do some surveillance on this family home prior to Kohberger's getting to his family home. Additionally, she said, I think they also watched Kohberger as well as his activities. And I think from surveilling his activities, they were probably able to focus in on the fact that he was a suspect, especially when the lookout came for that white Hyundai and he happened to have one. Kohberger on Tuesday agreed to be extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho. So again, do you guys think that is maybe just so he could see what was in that probable cause affidavit? He's a sneaky one, so it would not surprise me. So it does say that an Idaho magistrate judge on Tuesday evening did issue a gag order barring attorneys, law enforcement personnel, investigators, and other involved in the case from with the public regarding this case. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that they set up those stops? Hi, Shauna. We got Shauna, Slingin, Blifty, Mexi, Blifty. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that they were intentionally tracing him all the way to Pennsylvania? Do you think that they were stopping him intentionally on his way there? Do you think that we're going to hear anything about this affidavit today or tomorrow? Or do you think that that's something that will also be sealed for a while? Let me see what we got here. There's just, you don't know when new news is going to come out that could possibly turn everything around. So TMZ also put out an interesting ad. Let's take a peek. Hi, Perry. Welcome. Okay. I know, Shauna, right? I agree. Okay, why am I glitchy? Okay, so the first one, he was pulled over 1 mile from where these kids were unalived at 1122. But this one was months before this actually even happened, which I find very interesting. It is saying that he was pulled over by law enforcement about 1.5 miles from the house. So it says Kohberger was stopped by police in late August, less than 2 miles from the home where these unalivings happened, and was ticketed for not wearing a seatbelt. So, okay, here we are. This is right here where this happened, and he got stopped here. So if you look at it, boom, it's like unbelievably close, right? Now, I know it kind of looks a little deceiving, but these are not long streets. They're not long streets at all. So, according to the traffic citation, he was pulled over on August 21st, about 11:40 p.m. So, I'll be curious about this as well. Did he have his phone on him, and was it pinging? It says that he was still using those Pennsylvania license plates, which I also find kind of interesting because we know about a week after this happened that he switched the plates over to the Washington plate. So was he thinking that possibly that Pennsylvania plate was identified? So let's see here. That remember, the quadruple unaliving happened on the night of November 13th, and during the investigation, police eventually asked the public for help finding the white Hyundai. And we know that he was arrested November 30th at his parents' home. So that first stop that he had, I really am wondering if he was actually, get back, if he was actually, was he stalking them at that point? And we also know that he was stopped twice during that cross-country trip with his dad, which is also very curious, is it not? Because why did his dad drive up there to help drive him back, for this Bryan to drive the other direction by himself? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So they were just giving verbal warnings, it's saying, as far as this particular stop went. But isn't that curious? Hi, Dandy. Dandy. Oh, the disco. Yeah, I wish I was on there about a year ago, but deleted the app. Thought I would give it another try. Do you know what, Perry? I quite like Discord. It's very different from this, but in there, it's more we get to visit with each other, kind of throw more ideas around. We can all throw whatever you want in there as far as information. And Perry, if you would like to use anything for your site on there, absolutely feel free. It's I do think that with these cases we all should be kind of sharing, and I'm going to do it because for me it's about solving these cases and maybe getting some little bit of justice for these families, keeping awareness out. So I am not worried about anything that anyone takes. I like to see them used because the more we can get out, the better we are. So yeah, absolutely. My dog is just not giving up today. Oh, I like this. It's from Fox. I haven't read it yet, but I am quite liking the title. So let's see what we've got here. I'm trying to mute. Okay, so this is how it starts.
Without in-store customers, fewer hands-on.
So this is how it starts. Idaho suspected be a more text mistake. So I look at that. Say maybe he's more on.
Grace joins us right now. She's been.
Let's get this. Oh my word.
To get rid of every single trace of evidence. And we know.
Nancy Grace joins us right now. She's been following the case since the beginning. You know, that's fascinating because he Mr. Kohberger, did not submit to being swabbed or giving DNA. But Nancy, it sounds like from what I've heard, according to various press sources, it sounds like they went through the criminal DNA database. They didn't have a hit, but they went through the publicly available things like 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever. And apparently a family member did. And so that was the DNA they found at the crime scene.
Absolutely. This relative apparently had not only submitted their DNA to find out their ancestry, but had put it out there publicly to, I guess, find long lost relatives. And that may be how cops connect to him. Maybe. Not him necessarily, but someone related to him. And then they find, wow, who's related to him in this area? Then they find out he's driving a white Elantra, and that was the nail in the coffin. Cops should do, but I believe they will be able to place Kohberger on many different occasions around the victims as he spied, watched, and stalked them. I mean, we all looked at that video of them at the food truck. What we didn't see was who was beyond that perimeter. You don't know how far away he was standing and staring at them on many occasions. And I believe one of those locations is going to be that parking lot behind their home.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I read that there were a number of pings for him adjacent to the suspect, or rather to the victims. And so that is very curious. But ultimately, Nancy, if he's going to waive extradition, he thinks he can beat this because as we've heard these stories about, he's studied criminology and DNA and forensics, and he was wearing gloves around at grocery stores. He probably thought, I outsmarted them. But, you know, if Aunt Edna gave up the DNA to 23andMe or somebody like that, that could ultimately have been the thing that undid him.
I cannot agree with you guys more.
Absolutely. There's no way you can convince me that there's not one single trace of evidence in that Elantra. I mean, he may be brilliant, but there's no way he can clean that Elantra.
Yeah, so what do you guys think about that Elantra? Do you think he was able to clean it sufficiently, or do you think he was smart enough to maybe bring clothes, or was he wearing something over his clothes like scrubs or these things that they wear at the crime scenes, all those different kind of papery garb? So it says past acquaintances have painted the suspect in the Idaho unalivings as reclusive and a genius, socially awkward and excellent in the classroom. But the opposite may be true, one expert says. So it says Bryan probably, or likely it says, made a series of mistakes that led to his arrest, if he indeed responsible for the quadruple unaliving, just steps off the University of Idaho campus. And you know, oh my word, I think that he is not as smart as he thinks he is, because realistically, let's talk about Bundy and what have you. They didn't get caught for years. This guy got caught in 6 weeks. So he can think he's as smart as he wants, but you even look at that, and that's not a brilliant move. I think he was an incel and really disliked women, said Kelly, who was interviewed. Multiple serial killers has been following the Idaho case from the start. If you're going to stalk and kill somebody, the worst place to do it is indoors, he said, because there's a really good chance you're going to leave evidence versus an outside scene. Oh, you know what? I did not think of that. Outside the elements, weather and even animals can destroy crime scene evidence. You know what? This is true. I honestly did not look at that way. Bubble wrap. Oh my word. So it says the close quarters life and death struggle likely left DNA evidence all over the house. He said that he argued that someone intelligently trying to cover their tracks would not have used that particular weapon. And he said, responding to online rumor mill, if Kohberger had inserted himself into the true crime groups on Facebook, Reddit, as speculated, that is also a major mess up. Any type of interjection, I know, is sort of the psychology sometimes, but this is how they catch them, Kelly said. They think they're outsmarting people, but they're not. And I am almost thinking this is where we're at. He's another one of these arrogant jerks that just thinks that he's smarter than us all. He also said that Dennis Rader, BTK, got himself caught years after his final unaliving because he taunted the public and police with clues, which is true. He sent in a disk saying, first off, he sends him a letter saying, so if I send you this floppy disk, can you get anything off of it? The cops are like, no. And of course they could. So he trusted them and sent this, and they busted his ass. Carrie Rawson has previously expressed fear that Kohberger could have tried to get in touch with her father, who is BTK, although it's still not clear if he actually did. Prison officials did not immediately respond to News Digital's requests for comments. Okay, get down. So it says, I've been waiting here for the science to grab this guy, Kelly said Tuesday, more than 7 weeks after the slaying. I never believed this guy was going to get away with it. You can't drop a hair, a drop of blood. You better have your phone somewhere else. You got to watch what you touch. And you have to, in this day and age, try and get away with something. It's not that easy. Kelly also noted that flight can be a sign of guilt. Kohberger drove from Pullman, Washington to his parents' house in Pennsylvania weeks after the slaying. So I don't know. My little comment about that is it was Christmas holidays. And he basically, after this happened, went right back to his little university and continued on. So I don't know if that's what you would call flight. The only thing I find quite interesting, but it does sound like they planned it, but did they plan it before the unalivings or after? I'm not sure. But it does sound like they did plan for his father to drive to Washington State to drive that vehicle back. So she said, I've got to give them a lot of credit, how quickly they were able to grab him and have them come to a conclusion that it was him. Is that not the truth? So many people were just like, they were just running the cops down. They were running everything down. And these people were so far ahead of us that it's unreal. They had to track the car 2,500 miles, sort through DNA in that party house that had seen dozens of visitors pass through. So It is saying that his lawyer says that he is expecting to be exonerated. Well, I'm not so sure about that. What are you guys, dude? All right. Yep. Bubble wrap. Paper suits. Right. So let's go. Let's start here. The pings only identify an area, not a precious position, unless it's national security. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. And did he plastic wrap his seats? That's the thing, Mexi. Like, how did this guy, why is he convinced that he outsmarted everybody? That's kind of what I would like to know. Some kind of cover. That's very true too. I'm still wondering about, like James was saying here, I'm really starting to wonder about the paper suits and covering the shoes. And yeah, maybe you can get it at all your DIY, like those for painting and what have you. And knowing that he hangs out around medical facilities as well. She did know about DNA very early. I think she mentioned it from first, what I could tell. I think she's well informed and has lots of contacts. I agree. So is he on his way? Yes, he's on his way back, or he's even possibly there. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this probable cause affidavit. Fingers crossed, right, guys? Mexi, maybe he used saran wrap on himself, right? Yeah, Perry, got to love to hate that woman. Her pull is amazing, right? Freaking bubble boy. It's such a weird case. It seems like you really pre-planned the crime intensely, but still made stupid and obvious mistakes. That's kind of what I'm seeing as well, Perry. I'm finding it very, very interesting that these kind of rookie mistakes are being made. I didn't get a chance yesterday, and I might today. We ended up doing 2 lives yesterday, but there was a ton to talk about, right? So I'm thinking I want to go through some more photos, some more pictures, video footage, and see if that white car can be spotted anywhere else. And the problem is there's so many of those around that you can't automatically assume that it's his vehicle. The fight must have been so intense, and it's horrible to imagine. Agreed, Shauna. BTK was pure evil, not smart though. Yeah, absolutely. He was one sick puppy. And, his daughter, Carrie, like I feel so bad for her because what he has done to his family is unreal. I mean, they were out to get the family. They didn't know what this moron was doing. Ha ha ha. BTK was so pissed at cops. The cops lied to him that I couldn't believe it. That's the thing. He totally was like, oh, okay, I trust you. I'll just send this off to you. It's like, mistakes are bound to happen in a state of rage or panic if it started getting out of hand, them fighting. That's kind of what I think as well, Shauna. I think that I think he lost it. I think he totally lost it. BTK, why did you lie to me, cop? Because you're a psycho, Dennis. Checkmate. Well, that's it, right? Oh, my word, my animal. So yeah, Perry, I agree with you. He even in the house, how would he not know that there was nothing in the house that wasn't recording him? I know plenty of people that do that. That's what I was thinking. He didn't realize cameras were around. Yeah. And you know what else? Why was he stalking them allegedly with his cell phone with him? That's not brilliant. That's just not a brilliant move. It is possible he felt rushed or compelled to act and commit the crime quickly, Maddie leaving, or just compulsively acted that night. Yeah. Yeah, right? I he might have been thrown off by people fighting back. And if what happened with Kaylee, if it's true that she was trying to get away, there's a good possibility, unless, like you guys said, he saran wrapped himself up, that something was left. These people did not want to be unalived. As soon as they realized what was happening, they were going to fight for their lives. Yeah. He thought he was smart and still does. You know, all of these psycho puppies, they just think that they're brilliant. And yet, in so many ways, they probably are, but in so many ways, like they're barely functioning humans, let alone. Someone mentioned that he might have relations, friends near the crime scene. Could he have been watching? You see, that's what we've been talking about over in Discord. Is there somebody in that one house that was mentioned? Let me see if I can find a picture of it. That one house that was mentioned just at the bottom of their street. I'm going to see if I can find it. Okay, this isn't the greatest. Oh my word. So that one there is blurred out for whatever reason. It wasn't at first. And then a few days after they blurred this house out, they blurred this one out as well. And this is the one that somebody mentioned that there was a possible relative there. But I have not been able to confirm that any which way. But if you guys have Google Earth or Google Maps, you'll see that this is blurred right out. So yeah, it is a very curious, very curious. Something set him off that evening, I bet. So Shauna, do you think something set him off before he went, or do you think he was set off once he got there? I'm not too sure. I have a feeling that this was completely planned, and I still wonder about that vehicle that was in that window at the grub truck that looked like there was like a white car that was driving by. So I would like to see that a little bit better. And then there is also that vehicle that's up above, well, kind of on the side of the house behind the trees. There's a white vehicle that's parked up there as well. So, but that one's hidden quite a bit. So I don't know what to think of that one. Technology beat BTK. He was behind the times. He should have stuck to the typewriter. Well said. Hey, Zarp. Why on earth would he kill someone by doing that? If he was smart, he'd know that he would leave his DNA all over the place. Also, why carry his cell phone on him? He seems dumb to me. That's the thing. Do you think he had his cell phone on him that night? Because it does seem like he did on other occasions, right? When he was looking for them. Maybe he got, I'm wondering about that too, because I'm not trying to gossip. This is just something that's floating around out there. They're also saying that there's a possibility, oh my word, that there's a possibility that Kaylee may have had like a brief friendship. I'm sorry, God. Some days she is just full of it. So if it's true about Kaylee possibly rejecting him, I think that would be enough for this dude. You know, allegedly. Everything I say on here is alleged. He is innocent until proven guilty. These are just my opinions. Yeah, me too, Perry. I am convinced he was watching the property for a while. And that's what I think. That's exactly what I think. I think that Ethan being there that night probably threw him off. But if he was watching that house, not the girls, then he possibly would not have been able to do this. Some people are saying he was in before the girls were attacked. He was already in the house. Other people are saying that windows and doors have been broken. Actually, it's Ellie that said that. We just don't know quite what they were referring to. But yeah, Perry, I'm convinced he was watching them as well. I just don't know. I think so. He may have followed him home. That is kind of where that's kind of where I'm going with this. I'm like, was that his car at the grub truck? If that was his car at the grub truck, which we will never probably ever find out, then if that is the case, then Ethan was a surprise. If that isn't the case, then he knew what to expect when he went into that house as far as Ethan. If you go to 700 block Taylor, you can see how close the Prowler report was. Cops came out to look around. I would like to see that camera footage. Have you guys seen any of this? Is there actual footage of that, Perry? I'm going to take a peek behind scenes and see what I can find out about this. Yeah, Ted Kuklinski is, yep, the Unabomber. He was genius, but he lived in a shed, no electricity, and he sat in there and built bombs as a hobby. I think he was stalking one or two of the girls specifically. Why not try to isolate his target, spend time with them? Right? So you think that, do you think he was after the girls then? Not that house of people, but those girls. I think he knew the flow of the house somewhat and planned everything, but the actual day, that was more up to chance. Okay, that makes sense too, right? He crossed paths with one of those girls and was probably obsessed with one of them. I think he was probably watching that house and knew what doors they used. Yeah. Right, Zarp? I agree with you. There's also another thing that's kind of curious to me is, again, whether or not there was broken windows in that house. Because if there was broken windows upstairs, like in Maddie's room, which is looking like a possibility, what was going through this guy's mind? Okay. Some untruths have been floating around, and I'm trying to avoid those when we're going through this stuff, but there's a lot of it. Of course. So, Idaho unaliver suspect Bryan Kohberger whispers, "Love you," as he's cleared for extradition. So It says that I love you to his family as he agreed to be extradited from Pennsylvania, Idaho in his first court appearance. Let's see here. This is brief. So do you guys think that he's enjoying this attention? Do you think this is something he's getting off on? So it does say that he said, I love you to his family as he agreed to be extradited to from Pennsylvania to Idaho. He was handcuffed and wearing his red prison jumpsuit. The man accused of fatally unaliving 4 University of Idaho students. About his decision, handcuffed and wearing a red prison jumpsuit, the man accused of fatally unaliving 4 university students of Idaho College students, oh my word, answered a series of yes and no questions from, I'm even throwing new words in here. Let's go back. Handcuffed and wearing a red prison suit, the man accused of fatally unaliving 4 University of Idaho College students answered a series of yes and no questions about his decision to waive his extradition hearing. I got through it. Mr. Kohberger, do you suffer from any mental health diagnosis or take prescription medication or medication that would impact ability to understand what we are doing here today? And this came from the presiding judge, Margarita Worthington, and his response was no. Do you wish to waive your rights and voluntarily return to the state of Idaho to face prosecution? He responded yes. So it says that the hearing lasted about 10 minutes, and this is basically what has cleared the way for him to get back to Idaho. So this was him being led to court, which makes me wonder, with all those people out there asking questions, like I was saying, do you think that he is enjoying this? Or do you think he is shocked he got caught? I'm really curious. Says Kohberger scanned the courtroom while walking in. As people in the gallery fell silent, his mom and dad and 2 sisters had already been brought in by Court of Monroe County Chief Public Defender Jason Labar at 2:55. A few seconds after he sat down, he turned back around to his family and dad and Michael with a wry smile and nod. What the hell is that? A few seconds after he sat down, he turned back to his family, gave his dad and Michael a wry smile and nod. Wah. Okay, his dad then hugged the 2 daughters, Melissa and Amanda, and reached out to his right to give his wife, Marianne, a reassuring touch on the shoulder after she buried her head in Melissa's shoulder. Can you imagine him coming in? This is probably all the people that are sitting around watching him as they go in. It's not giving much information about each photo. And we don't need that. So, right before the judge banged her gavel at 3 p.m., Melissa sobbed silently and was given a box of tissues by a sheriff. 10 minutes later, Kohberger turned and faced his family quietly, said, I love you, and he was led out of the courtroom. His father gave him a little wave before the family was escorted out the back of the courtroom while the rest of the gallery stayed seated. Worthington ordered that Kohberger be surrendered to the state of Idaho within 10 calendar days from Tuesday, although authorities are expected, well, we know he's there now. So let's see here. It's telling us about his cross-country trip with his father. Little is known about what led investigators to Bryan Kohberger in their almost 7-week investigation. More details will be released following his first appearance in Idaho court. So hopefully that's coming in very soon. I thought it was still possible to do today or tomorrow, but we'll see. Meanwhile, as Idaho authorities prepare for Kohberger to arrive, the house where the unalivings took place was a flurry of activity Wednesday, with a number of visitors crossing police tape to go inside. Sources identified 2 of the visitors to the post as an attorney working on behalf of Bryan Kohberger and a private investigator who is part of the defense team, but neither gave their names. Well, so they're in the house now. Okay. Are you talking about my dog shouting? Oh, my word. I got one that's especially spoiled. As you will notice, it's usually Lizzie that I'm... Okay, I think we're here. Right, that fair comment. And that's what we were talking about just before. He crossed paths with one of the girls and was probably obsessed with one of them. I think he probably was watching that house and knew what doors they used. Yeah. It was an anger thing, not an sex thing. No. No. They're just like children, I swear. I went over and this is what's coming out of her bed. She's pulling it out with her teeth now. And that's my other one. That's my good one. That's Lizzie. Okay, let's get back. And I agree with you. You know, what are they calling them? Incels or whatever? Where they really want to, but they can't. I'm wondering if he's not on that side of things. I don't think it was 1 or 2 girls specifically being targeted, or he would have tried to isolate them and maybe attempt to kidnap. But well, hey, right? That's true. That's true. Angry about being told no or something else like that. Yeah, he might be a scorned individual, right? He's in Idaho, you bet. You bet. Sounds like they flew him out. My dogs, my dogs. I think he is on his way. Yeah, I'll see before we jump off. I will see if I can find anything about him landing. Because I'm thinking when they took him, they wouldn't spend much time dilly-dallying before getting him loaded. I think he's enjoying all the attention. He has a smug look on his face whenever he does the perp walk. I agree. Yeah. This guy, right? Yes, very smug. Can't see these smart guys come up with better ways to stroke their egos and get famous, right? This is it. This is it. And I mean, if that was his motivation, was for infamy, I really hope he gets bubble wrap boy, you know. Or what did the other one call him? A moron. The moronic bubble boy. So it's interesting because if I was completely innocent, there'd be nothing but tears during my perp walk. That's kind of the thing that I'm thinking. Like, he's pretty arrogant about all of this. You know, he's got that smug look. I'm looking forward to being totally exonerated. I hate to make this No. I hate to make this comparison again, but he's Bundy-ish. he's behaving like he did. No, Lizzie, no. Richard, yeah, you see, Dandy, I agree. Like, he's same idea. Yep, nope, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Kicking and screaming the whole way. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't just walk out and say, extradite me. It's all good. Yeah, don't worry about it. Bring it on. The dogs are fine. I meant during the perp walk, realized it must be some demented MSM. Oh my God, eh? And thank you for appreciating my dog. He's a dork that lusted over beautiful women. Kind of scary. Yeah, he does. I mean, I like most nerds personally. They're awesome. But guys that are like this, not so much. To me, he acts a little bit like he's kind of a mixture of a bunch of them in my mind. I think I read he is like banned from some sort of brewery or restaurant for being inappropriate in some way. Yeah, there was a spot he was going, and yeah, some type of brewery where he was saying creepy things to the girls. And I know that they were watching him. And when he came back in, they basically warned everybody, like, if he does anything to freak you out, let me know. So they did have that one fellow did say, you know, kind of behave tonight. And his response, Brian's response was basically, well, I thought I did behave. I hadn't heard about incels till this Canadian one in a van. Absolutely bonkers mental. I hadn't heard about them since this case. I mean, I guess I knew that there was people around that were sick like that, but I did not really know there was a name to attach to it. His police interview was insane. I have not seen that. Oh. Superiority complex, right, Dandy? Yeah. He seems arrogant, as if he's the smartest person in the room. I think he's cocky and truly believe he's smart enough to wiggle his way out of this. I'm curious to see what his defense will be. Do you know what? 100% Zarp. I would love to know what's going through this guy's head. But I do believe that he thinks, again, that he's going to be the smartest man in the room and that none of this is going to come to fruition. I think he does believe he has this. I think he believes he prepared everything down to the last minute. But you know what? There is no way, because he has made so many mistakes to this point. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take another look here and see if anything else has popped up for us. Let's take a look. So I do believe he is in Idaho, if I remember correctly. Here we go again.
Hey, Bryan.
How are you feeling?
How you feeling, Bryan? Hey, Bryan.
How are you feeling?
How you feeling, Bryan?
Are you ready to go to Idaho?
The last time in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, let me make sure I'm ready to go here. Okay, so authorities have yet to release key details, such as whether the suspect knew the victims and what the motive may have been. Investigators focused on Kohberger's as a suspect after tracing ownership of a white Hyundai Elantra, which had been seen in the areas of the unalivings, to him. And according to law enforcement sources briefed on the investigations. Okay. Also, the DNA was matched to genetic material recovered at the home where the students were unalived. Very curious as to what this is, and I really hope they have a bunch of it. So we know that he recently finished his first semester, is a PhD student in the criminal justice program at Washington State University campus in Pullman, which they're saying is about 15 minutes away from Moscow. And that he also drove to Pennsylvania for the holidays with his father, which is where he was arrested and is now being extradited back from. An FBI surveillance team tracked him for 4 days before they arrested him. And they worked on it with prosecutors to help develop enough probable cause to get a warrant. Oh, my word, my word, oh, my word. Okay. I am thinking we're almost caught up here. What about you guys? Is there anything else you would like to discuss? Anything you want me to look into throughout the rest of the day? Brian makes a pit stop. Oh, it's TMZ, so I cannot. This is during the plane flight to Idaho. Let me just look at this. Oh, isn't this interesting? Let's check this out. So this is BTK's daughter over here. Her name's Carrie Rawson, and a spectacular human.
Now I want to go to what an intriguing more including the he's ram also known as Bible is kill people
arrested. Where is she? She her if you just want to try and take it slow here, Carrie, okay? This teacher had a contact with your father as she was teaching in Lehigh, Pennsylvania, DeSales University. Now, Kohberger was studying for his PhD in the state of Washington. Why do you believe he had a connection to your infamous father, now in jail?
It's really common in general for people in the public or criminology students, especially to correspond with my father via letters and sometimes talk to him on the phone. And since Dr. Ramsland had a long-term, several years, academic, intimate relationship with my father and a personal friendship, I wouldn't be surprised if Kohberger at least tried to contact my father or had contact. At this point, we don't have proof of it. We would need to see letters either at Kohberger's home or in my father's jail cell.
Wow, so that physical evidence may be out there. It has not been confirmed, but maybe it's a possibility as you express here. Your father studied criminal justice at Wichita State. And then you say he went on to continue studying about his own crimes. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so my father's first murders were the 4 members of the Otero family in January of '74. Then he quickly entered into the criminal justice undergrad program at Wichita State University in Wichita, Kansas.
So with Carrie Rawson, I don't think that home life was very nice for her. She does suffer from PTSD and a few other, oh my goodness, I guess afflictions that you get from being raised by a bad human.
So he was a student mainly taking night classes at Wichita State for several years while continually committing BTK murders, committing a total of 7 in the 1970s before I was born. And then he was sort of a prolific student of his own after he graduated. As I was growing up, he always had like true crime books in his house. And when I got older, I was at least able to share like fiction with him. Since he's been in prison, he said he's been trying to understand what's wrong with him, and he's been a prolific studier of himself and other serial killers.
Carrie,
and then he went on.
Yeah, can I ask you this then? Why is it that students would reach out to your father? Why would?
Isn't that something that students do kind of look out for other people that are like-minded? And I'm not saying that everybody that studies this turns into a broken individual. I just find it interesting that the broken individuals, a lot of them have very interesting studies. Like look at Ted Bundy. He was a brilliant man. BTK, brilliant man. Now this guy, I don't know if he thinks he's a brilliant man and just isn't, or if there is some kind of twisted logic to what the frick he's been doing.
Professors reach out to the father, your father in this case.
Well, professors try to reach out to my father from an academic standpoint because it's rare to be able to pick the brain of a true psychopath and have them at least be willing to talk to you. Ramsland had developed a friendship with my father and then ended up publishing a book in 2016, a biography on my father that my father interviewed with intensively and massively had input into. It's basically a first-person account of his crimes. Students in general, sometimes they're even assigned to contact criminals as research projects. Or to develop their own research. I'm contacted pretty regularly by students asking me, can you get a hold of your father and have him return my letters?
Okay, but you don't have any proof that Kohberger reached out to your father. What you're trying to draw here is a connection through this professor. And has the professor said anything yet about this, Dr. Ramsland?
On Saturday, she made a public statement that she was not making public statements at this time. I believe due to her connection with DeSales University and her possible, legal connection here with Kohberger as being his professor in the master's program.
Is that the only? Sorry, Carrie. Is that the only connection that you're tying here, or is there some measure of
I wish they wouldn't cut them off all the time. Like, let the lady talk.
evidence that you have learned through the media over the past 7-8 weeks after these murders?
My first time I heard of any connection to Dr. Ransom was after Kohberger's arrest. And then there's speculation about Kohberger's ties to my father, but we're going to have to wait, to see if anything comes out in trial or after the trial.
Okay, one question here. The Kohberger family, the father drove in mid-December all the way across the country from the state of Washington to Pennsylvania.
And you know what? As far as that goes, let me know what you guys think of that. Do you think, I'm really curious, did he plan this before the unalivings that his dad came out and drove him? Or did he ask his dad after? Because there was 7 weeks to make that plan, almost 7 weeks.
Here's a family statement. We fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions. Can you reflect on what the family's going through after your own experience? And you lived this, and you have not had contact with your dad in about a year and a half.
I mean, as far as we know, his family is innocent. And so from my perspective of what my own family went through, it's basically utter hell. It's shock. I mean, they had a no-knock warrant come into their house in the middle of the night. They're probably still in shock, confused, grieving. It was reported that the mother and sister were upset at the hearing yesterday. It's a lot to process. You're trying to figure out how to pay for a legal defense. You can't afford it. You're trying to answer questions to the FBI. You're trying to make media. Trying to ask yourself what went wrong or what did I miss? And as parents, you're dealing with a massive amount of guilt, probably.
I would think so. A massive amount of guilt. I really do not understand how this type of thing happens. I don't know what makes somebody this sick and twisted. It blows me away. I'm trying to get this article up for you guys. I'll do this and then I'll join you guys in chat. And then I'll probably call this one. And I'll keep my eye open. If there's anything that comes out tonight about his arraignment and about his affidavit, I will absolutely jump back on. So Bryan Kohberger aspired to be an Army Ranger and is featured in his high school yearbook exercising in uniform. And there he is. Look at that. In the 2011 Pleasant Valley High School yearbook, the accused unaliver was pictured in a law enforcement class with other students mid-push-up. Look at that. He's a chubby little shit too, eh? An insignia on his right sleeve shows a U.S. flag as a badge dangles from his left pocket. Sophomore Bryan Kohberger performs his daily push-ups as part of his law enforcement class. Kohberger used the skills he learned to help him reach his goal to one day serve in the Army Rangers. His name is misspelled in the yearbook. Yearbook records show from 2011, 12, and 13, and show no student by the name of Kohberger. The Army Rangers, a premier infantry.
I want to go to what could be an intriguing connection.
Infantry force is a brand of the elite special operations force, according to the U.S. Army website. So I'm wondering, did he get kicked out of this too? Army Rangers specialize in conducting raids and assault missions deep inside enemy territories. The Pennsylvania high school student who was bullied for his weight appears to have slimmed down by his senior year. A former high school classmate, Sarah Healy, told Fox News that Kohberger was shy and mercilessly picked on by a group of girls who would throw things at him and tell him to go away, creep. Well, isn't that freaking interesting? Bryan was bullied a lot, and I never got a chance to say something to defend him because he would always run away. Whoa. He is described as socially awkward. At some point, at 28, he pivoted from his dreams of military valor to a career in academia. He was a PhD student from Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at the Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, which we know is about a 10-minute drive from that house. After wrapping up the semester, Kohberger and his father drove the 2,500 miles back to Pennsylvania. We know that he was extradited today at some point. Look at that face on him. Like, oh, he looks like a psychopath. So yeah, he's looking forward to being charged with 4 counts of first-degree unaliving. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. And I'm sorry, my opinion, I think some people require that. Using DNA left at the crime scene, investigators were able to tie him to a relative who submitted their DNA to a public database. So yeah, he thought he was going to be like Ranger Bob. Psycho Ranger Bob. Okay. Let's see here, Dandy. I wonder if his whole education was meticulously planned due to an urge to kill. Right? This is kind of what? The chicken before the egg, or the egg before, which came first? We don't know. And all I know is either way, it seems to have culminated into something very, very scary. Yeah, Ted Kuklinski, Ed Kemper, you bet. I'm glad she said that. He's a true psychopath. She did, James. She is highly educated now. She's got different degrees, and she may even have her doctorate. Being raised by this man basically has made her very curious to want to learn about the human mind. Check her out. Her KERRIRAWSON. She's on most social media platforms, and she has done, considering what she had to deal with, she's done extremely well. Don't go around unaliving people if you cannot afford attorney, right? What do you guys think? I'm still wondering if he's going to want to participate in his defense or if he's going to run his defense. I'm really, really curious about this. Wanted to serve as a ranger. He's one of those guys. Whoa. That's a good question, Dandy. I really don't know. Oh, there we go. When there is a war to go to, absolutely. Let's see here. I'd imagine a few psychopaths have joined up, sick as it is. Yeah, like it seems like a lot of them that end up in these kind of situations with, woohoo. A lot of them like wanted to be a cop, wanted to be a ranger, wanted to be a lawyer, wanted to be this, wanted to be that. And like you say, is it the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken? We don't know. He's got a deep-sealed desire to hurt others. I agree, Dandy, 1,000%. Oh, okay, James. Rangers are like our commandos. an elite force. Okay. Okay. Definitely badass. Was just below special services. Okay, then. Okay, then. I think he's going to Amber Heard. Okay. Oh, they were formed during World War II, the world's first elite soldiers. Oh, isn't that something? I had no idea. I had no idea. And in Canada, I guess ours, Canadian Armed Forces, I suppose. But our CMP, we've got, the locals, and then we've got sheriffs. But yeah, our CMP would probably be our most specialized, other than the ones that are directly with the government. So is there anything else you guys want to chit chat about? Anything you want me to look up? If not, I think I'll probably be jumping off. We've been doing this for an hour and a half, and I don't want to bore you guys. Thanks again for putting up with my dogs. With you guys are awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I have the best people ever that join my chats, and I couldn't appreciate you guys more. So with that said, I will probably call this. Oh, I agree. Always something to learn in chat, right, Dandy? Absolutely. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to call this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Maybe. Okay, let's try this again.